not one, but two Monday Night Football games for you. All right, Kirk, I get it. Like, I don't know what it is. He's just staring over me. All right, I feel much better now. Not one, but two same-game parlays for you here as well. All right, so we appreciate you as always being a part of the Odd Shopper community, the ever-growing, fastest-growing sports betting community here on YouTube. So hit the thumbs up button, please, because, you know, that does us a lot. Also, we want you subscribed here. We want you part of that community, right? It's all business when we get to the Vikings and Eagles game, but we've got the Titans and Bills game to look at first. I'll tell you all about how you can turn $10 into $200 free at BetMGM. So trust me, we have a bunch here for you tonight, including, of course, not one, but two same. We're not going to supersize by any means. Here he is again. Kind of looks like Lindquist, doesn't he? Just a little bit, right? I mean, who are you going to put your money on, this guy or this guy? That's all I'm saying. We'll get to that game in a second, but, I mean, are you going to go this, like, look at this. That guy or that guy? Come on. All right, let's head over to BetMGM and start with the Titans and Bills. And then we'll move into a three-leg same-game parlay for the Vikings-Eagles. But a lot of this, if not all of this, and we'll go to the build section here, is how you see this football game. Do you see the Titans covering that 9.5, 10? Do you see the Titans pulling out an upset? Or do you see Buffalo winning handedly? Covering anything 9.5, 10 or greater is winning handedly, is not sweating against the Titans. So I like the Titans to cover. I'm not picking them to win outright, but I think we can start here with them to cover. Look, they're still trying to find some pieces in the pass game, clearly. And a healthy, upright Ryan Tannehill is always going to be the goal here, by all means. But I like the Titans to keep this close, under 10 points, by all means. And also, we know that they have means of controlling the clock and controlling at least time of possession with a guy like Derrick Henry, who also has the big play capability. So you're not burning clock into the ground, just handing it on over to Derrick. And I also think that the Bills, as much as they can throw the football and as well as they can throw the football, this is also going to be keeping the ball away from Derrick Henry. Look, that total at 47.5 is low, I think, for both of these two teams who, with the questions we have defensively for the Tennessee Titans, as well as the ability.
Here presented by PrizePicks. I'm Eric Lindquist. It's my birthday, so hit the like button. Yeah, I'm gonna shell myself out there for likes and make sure that we get them right from the get-go. All, however many of you guys are here not watching NFL, it's coming up, don't you worry. But MLB, until then, we've got a 7-gamer. I'm pretty excited about this slate, and the guy I'm excited to talk it with, he hates when I'm happy-go-lucky, which is literally all the time, which is why it's whatever. We have a good rapport. It's Shit My Money DFS, my dude. How you doing?
Yeah, I mean, I had a really bad NFL day yesterday, and it just felt like things couldn't get worse. And then I saw I had 2 shows with you today, and it just really puts things in perspective.
Hello, neighbor. Like, how bad can you possibly run?
Right. Yeah, I would just lose 20 grand a day for eternity before I do 2 shows with you.
Well, you got your Christmas wish, your birthday wish, all of that here. Happy good day. Thank you, Veo. Good to see everybody. Let's get to it because a lot of MLB stuff to talk about until we get to the NFL shows. But we're going to keep you guys informed. I know the guys this morning, it was Greg Ehrenberg and who was the other person that was on it? I think it was Terry McBride. Those two guys just did an awesome job breaking everything down. I caught the tail end of that show. But I'm looking forward to this slate, mainly because the Minnesota Twins can't break my heart on it. Happy birthday to me. Go Vikings, Skol. But 7-gamer, anything stand out to you? Because this is a rarity for you. You didn't have to do the morning strategy show. This is a brand new slate for you.
Yeah, it's always really weird and difficult. So one thing that did stand out to me when I was doing my tournament plays videos is I don't really know how actionable it is on a 7-game slate, but probably being aware of MLB postseason standings is a good idea at this point. And the reason that it really came up was like the top 3 pitchers in the top pitchers tool for both sites, or 3 of the top 4, Burns, Kershaw, Garcia, they look pretty similar in a lot of aspects, but only one of them is on a team that's playing for anything. So I think it's just kind of interesting. And again, with it only being a 7-game slate and there being limited options, I don't think it's that actionable. Like, you're still going to play Kershaw, you're still going to play Garcia, but like Burns just has a completely different, very top end of his range than the other guys, because Dave Roberts doesn't care how Clayton Kershaw's pitching. He's not going to go 8 innings, probably the same thing with Garcia. So that's just one thing that kind of in general, I think we should be paying attention to, and it's obvious on this slate, although again, I don't really know that you can do that much with it.
I think you can, but that's the thing. We are at the point in time of the season where you have to be aware of these things. And I think about it from a batting perspective too. There's certain times that guys will get pinch hit for out of the middle of nowhere, like the Dodgers. They're like, if there's a spot where it's like, all right, we can sit Mookie Betts and Trey Turner, we're up 5 or 6, F it. Like, I'm going to trim a little bit for these guys where I would never give that a second thought if it was the middle of July.
Yeah, that's actually, I think it was, I don't know if it was, I didn't play yesterday, so I'm thinking maybe it was Saturday. The Dodgers, I'm going back to look now. The Dodgers got out to a good start. And I was actually thinking about it like during that game. I was like, I wonder if they start pinch hitting. And they really didn't.
It was a Sunday night baseball game, though. It was like the ESPN featured game.
Yeah, so and like I agree with you anyway. Yeah. Like, you're just, it's not as much of an issue now as it used to be when you had the 40-man rosters with September call-ups.
Right.
Like, and you would just, teams would be done in the 5th inning. But yeah, still, I mean, that's a fair point as well. Like, I'm not factoring it in much, if at all, but it's still something to be aware of. Like, I think it probably is more important for like people that are playing a couple of lineups or people that are like hand building. Like, for me across 150, there's only so much I can do. I'm not going to just like cut Clayton Kershaw out. I'm not going to cut the Dodgers bats out. But like, if I'm trying to decide on one team and it's like, am I going to play Kershaw or am I going to play Burns? I think there using it as a tiebreaker certainly makes a lot of sense.
Exactly. I like one more than the other, and we will get there here, but we've got a clean hour to be able to talk 7 games. We have Coors on this slate. That always adds an interesting wrinkle because I don't know if you know, seems like they're going to be popular today. So I'm pretty sure we have lots to talk about within this hour. We got Mike Lawrence behind the virtual glass helping us out for the second time today. Die Eagles die. It's my birthday. I can say that. I hope they burn in a million years. And Skol.
Oh, I thought you said die equals die. Like, I thought you were just throwing that Mike was producing out there and then telling him to die and then following it up with this my birthday. I could do that. I was just like, I mean, you can, but it seems a little aggressive.
He couldn't find the hourglass or the magnifying glass on Fantasy Cruncher earlier. And I just thought I would let my disdain be known for Mike Lawrence at that point in time. No, you did a fantastic job. Check out that NFL. I truly believe, just to plug another show while we're on this, one of the more enjoyable hours that I get to spend, as much as I love my friend Greg Ehrenberg, as much as I love doing Live Before Lock with Savoca and with Mr. Gajewski on Sundays, one of my favorite shows that I do all year long is that Monday show. There's only 17 of them, 18 of them that we'll do throughout the season. We'll do like the first week of wild card as well. But talking through NFL slates and your process is maybe my favorite thing that we do in terms of work, just to talk through some of those slates. Go give that a watch. The NFL Lineup Rewind show. Adam does a great job of breaking down the process of why, droolers for the Eagles, or for not the Eagles, the Bengals are just dum-dums, but it is stuff like that. you just did a fantastic job of breaking it down. So wanted to pay you a compliment, even though it's my birthday.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. But no, that is one of my favorite shows to do too, because one, I like hearing myself talk, and two, it actually, I mean, actually having to like articulate ideas when looking back on a slate, I think makes me better. Because there are times where I'll start to say something like why I did something, and it's just like, that made no sense. You should probably fix that next week. And like, I've definitely learned from that show when I would do it with Josh in previous years. Like, I realized that there were stacking, not rules, but like groups that I like, not playing a quarterback with a running back. Like, I used to just like hard exclude that, and or not playing like a running back and wide receiver from the same team if I didn't have the quarterback. And then just like realizing that that was really stupid and unnecessary and costing me money. So I think it's a really valuable show, like just because you dive into everything and then talk about it and think things through, and have, you to bounce stuff off of, and, tell me I sound like an idiot if something doesn't make sense.
Yeah, which comes up once in a while, usually female related, but at the same time, it's pretty fun regardless. Hit that like button, everybody, subscribe button, and notification bell. We get this party started here, and let's just do it. We got first game on the board. Is it really the Dodgers game? That can't be the first one. That's added. That's in the wrong order for me. I have the wrong run sheet up. Don't mind me. First one, we got Houston and Tampa Bay. I know that was the first one that was there. I'll fix that here in 2.8 seconds. But Drew Rasmussen, I do the Odd Shopper channel. I do the Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks, talking through sports betting. And I was like, I haven't bet Rasmussen through this entire run that he's had this entire season. Oh, maybe I'll play him against Toronto here because he's major plus money. And he had like an 18.5 fantasy score projection over at our friend's PrizePicks. And I like the over of that. Well, he got absolutely the doors rocked off of him here. He's 9,100 on DraftKings.com. I think Garcia stands out as a fantasy pitcher way more, but Rasmussen, 4%. If you're going to be playing Coors, he might be a pitcher to get to in a great ballpark. Houston doesn't strike out a whole hell of a lot, but do you have any interest in getting to him considering, hey, he's got good surface numbers, Adam?
Yeah, and full disclosure, I can't really pull any of those up right now because my internet might be crashing. I don't know how long I'll be around on this show. But like, I just tried to refresh like 3 tabs and they're all just spinning. But yeah, I think that Rasmussen does make sense at the very least in those Coors Field type lineups, because with it being a shorter slate, you're like, Coors would always be popular, but with it being a 7-game slate, it's just going to be even more popular than it normally would be. And that's going to be the case for most offenses you want to get to. So somebody like Rasmussen, that is a solid pitcher, certainly has a really difficult matchup against Houston. It's not a spot that I like going out of my way to get to, but we only have him projected for 6% ownership. We have him with like a 15% chance of being a top 2 pitcher at $9,100. He's in a good park. Again, the matchup sucks, but for large field tournaments where you are going the more popular bats, I think Rasmussen's somebody that you can certainly mix in just to offset some ownership.
Well, Luis Garcia is the guy who matters a little bit more, well, a lot of bit more on this slate. Looking at the top pitchers tool, he's falling 5th. He's behind Kyle Wright, which I don't agree with. Clayton Kershaw, Corbin Burns, Edward Cabrera being kind of the nuts, it would look like, just in terms of his price is 7,500, but I have a lot of interest. Tampa Bay, at the same time that they can be potent, they can strike out. And there are enough strikeouts, it looks like, in this lineup where I have some interest. Do you?
Yeah, for sure. Good park, nice price tag at 8,300 on DraftKings, 9,100 on FanDuel. He looks good there as well. Tampa Bay is not a bad offense, but like you said, it's a lineup that does have some strikeouts. It's a good park for pitching. And most pitchers on this slate have some sort of a question mark. In Garcia's case, it is that Tampa Bay is not bad offensively, but you look at other pitchers. You have Scherzer coming back from an injury. You have Burns in a tough matchup. You have Kershaw pitching for the Dodgers. You have Kyle Wright being Kyle Wright. Kind of a solid but not great pitcher. So most guys, you have at least something somewhat negative to say about them. So that makes it kind of even out. And I like getting to Garcia at this price tag.
Yeah, it just makes a lot of sense for me. If he's going to be the lowest owned out of this entire grouping, I will say it's kind of strange to see that he's given up, 3 or more earned runs in 7 of his last 8. That's kind of weird when you look across the board at a 35% hard hit rate, a 24.7% K rate. As I said, the Rays, there's 4 batters with 22.5 or greater K percentages: Peralta, Bethancourt, Rosarena, and Siri. So it makes sense to me. Still, it's the Houston Astros. They are really good. They have a really good lineup. This Yordan Alvarez character keeps hitting home runs. He seems like he's okay. Kyle Tucker steals and deals. Love that man as a human being. You can't ask for a whole lot better offense to back. It's just a question of the ballpark and the opportunity cost of Coors Field. How do you kind of plan to utilize Houston today?
Yeah, I think that they're interesting just because it's not a great matchup, but as a result, they're not really getting ownership and they're still a really, really good offense. I kind of think Houston's just like one of the offensive equivalents to Drew Rasmussen. Yeah, you got me saying it wrong now.
See, I don't know how to say it because people have said I've said it wrong.
It's Rasmussen.
That's what I thought it was too. Fuck them. Okay.
But Greg says it wrong. You were saying it wrong. I think
no, I said it because of Greg.
Okay, yeah, I'll say Josh, I think, says it wrong, and it ends up just messing me up, but it's Rasmussen.
It's like the Disney villain from Anastasia. Do you remember that movie?
Yeah, I don't know if I ever saw it, but I do know that. Yeah. But anyway, I think that they are kind of similar in that, Rasmussen has the really difficult matchup against Houston, but he's also just not getting any ownership, and he is still a good pitcher. And then on the other side, Houston, tough matchup, tough ballpark, but still a really good offense. And you're going to get 26% ownership going to the not the 49ers, the Giants, 16% going to the Rockies. You have double digits going to Atlanta and Baltimore as well. It's still a really good offense that's only getting like 2% ownership. So I don't think they're a priority in that, I don't think I'm going to go in and just start jamming Houston against Rasmussen on this slate. But I do think, if you're going with popular pitching or, you're just playing 150 lineups, getting to the Astros at virtually no ownership on a 7-game slate does make some sense.
I heard playing 150 lineups from the strategy show this morning is cheating.
Yeah, people were telling me that on Twitter yesterday too. I don't know, it was really weird.
It's those football jabronis that come out of the woodwork and they don't play any other sport. They just show up for football and then they bitch. And it's
it was somebody. I was almost wondering if it was like that guy's account in YouTube, but like somebody on Twitter, I was making Brick was tying for first in a baseball tournament the other day, and I was mocking him for playing a duplicate in baseball, and somebody just like completely unrelated started complaining about 150 maxers and told me that like I have no skill unless I can show that I've won a single entry tournament. And so I just linked him to my pinned tweet winning the MMA thing with, which was a single entry tournament.
I wish you had some like hookers on both sides of you. That would have been awesome. Like just really, really, because that's the thing that he really wants. He wants to be famous. He wants to look cool for his friends. You just want to like rake in money and then do evil things behind the scenes.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want the attention. My internet is still just like, I can't believe I'm actually still on this show because everything's just spinning.
Well, this will be fun. I'll tell you, Tampa Bay has a 142 ISO, a 103 WRC plus against righties on the season. I still, in this ballpark, I know they're slight favorites and slightly better implied run total than what you have for Houston, but I still really have no interest on this slate going to Tampa. I'll just take the better offense in Houston if you make me pick something. Is Tampa Bay showing up for you at all?
I'm on the same page as you. Like, I think the ownership is similar to Houston, and so they work as a low-owned team, but you just have better hitters on Houston. So I think if I'm going that low probability route, I'd rather go to the one that has the better bats.
Right there with you. Cool. We move on?
Yep.
I just like that you pulled the Lofty first where you said the 49ers. It's just that time of year, isn't it?
Yeah, I was completely blanking on, because and with it being the Giants, it was like, it's not the 49ers. And then I went to say Giants and I was like, no, that's New York. And I was like, nope, that's not New York. Like San Francisco.
Cool story, bro. We go to Miami and the Cubbies. This is an interesting one, not because of hitting, but we have Edward Cabrera here going for Miami. He's too cheap. He's 7,500 going up against a Cubs lineup that strikes out a ton in the top pitchers tool on DK. 25.8% time number 25.8% of the time, top two pitcher percentage, top one pitcher percentage over on FanDuel 9,600. That keeps his ownership in check. He's right around Burns and Kershaw in that extent. I mean, only $100 away from Kershaw, nearly pulling the same ownership. That's kind of crazy to think about, but he's been nails. It's really hard to say that he doesn't deserve this kind of ownership at a 7,500 tag on DK. How do you feel about Edward Cabrera at this ownership on a slate where if you want to get to Coors and you play Cabrera, good luck being different?
Right. I think that he does look really good at that price tag. I think it kind of goes back to what we were talking about before, where, if you're playing Coors, maybe you move some of that Cabrera to Rasmussen for the ownership discount. But he's completely mispriced here for a 7-game slate and for somebody with the amount of just talent that he has. 25.8% strikeout percentage, 4.22 xFIP so far this season. Plenty of strikeouts for the Cubs. So I think he deserves the ownership he's getting. I think he's completely mispriced. It's just a matter of figuring out ways to balance out your lineups.
Such a weird thing to be salty about. Greg,
What?
me, I don't know. OMG, LOLs. I don't know what he was talking about, but I do know that
I can't see
for the
chat,
most,
so
you're literally in purgatory right now. How
yeah,
can you go on Twitter and
nothing,
insult
nothing
anybody
is
during
working.
this show? What are you going to do for 42 minutes? Listen to me?
I mean, I'm trying to pull stuff up in a different browser now, so that's how I was able to get to Cabrera's numbers, but don't have it all up yet.
This is you need to not watch terrible things on the internet.
No, me and Josh
isn't
were
it?
just having that conversation the other day. I use my phone. He's the one that uses his computer.
You use your phone?
Yeah, I use my computer for too much stuff. I don't.
Wow. Do we have time for this? No, we don't have time for this. Plus, we have a lovely sponsor in PrizePicks that I don't want to besmirch the good name of. I've said jabroni. I've said besmirch. Let's just go in the old thesaurus, and we'll pull them all out here during this show. Wade Miley on the other side. He's been serviceable, but it's still Wade Miley.
Yeah, and now because I'm trying to switch between browsers, I am at a complete loss.
You should pull out your phone for this.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good matchup for Miley. 6% projected ownership at 6,600, 9% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. I guess he's somebody you could pivot from Cabrera to if you're playing cores just to be different. But to be clear, it's not like he offers you the same sort of strikeout upside or even remotely close that Edward Cabrera does.
All right. Well, I figured it out. OMG, LOLs. Good. The guy in the morning. Yeah, what a weird thing to be salty about. He should probably register for these single entry tournaments. He'll be a lot happier person. And then he'll also realize that he won't ever win in that too. And then he'll bitch about that.
Greg replied to the Twitter thread and was like, they have single entry and 3 max tournaments, right? And
that's great.
I was like being sarcastic replying to Greg and was like, it's not fair that the single entries don't pay 100K to first though. And the guy's just like, yeah, exactly. Like, why don't they make single entry like milli makers? And I was like, you're really stupid.
I want to be in 2 entry, 150K to first contest for the rest of my life.
And only 10 entrants max.
Yeah. Well, Adam, you couldn't even win with another person. So for those exact scenarios. I'm so sorry. I had to do it. Go ahead and sip that coffee. Don't be mad at me. It was funny, I think. That was
I had to change my roto tracker the other day, like go into the file and adjust it because the way that it tracked that, it had me actually losing $40,000 in that head to head. And so I was going through just trying to see like what game types I'm, winning and losing at. And it said like I'm down for the year at head to heads. I'm like, how? And I look and it's because I have that giant minus 40K.
You're a loser.
Yeah.
What are you up, like 20K, 30K?
What'd you say?
What are you up in head-to-heads?
I don't remember. I think 20 or 30.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm just curious because I need to update my roto tracker. Here's the thing, though. I was up, a decent amount in NBA. MLB was kind of like meandering, but I know once I refresh, like I had to, send a check into the old government because you're paying taxes as you go. Good talk. Glad we enjoyed this, but. Yeah, I don't want to be refreshing Roto Tracker because I don't want to know how much I'm up until NFL season's over.
Yeah, that's fair. I always just update it. I update it either when I get a big win because then obviously it's going to make me feel good, or I update it if my losing streak gets too bad. I update it just to try and just to hopefully reinforce that I'm either A, playing well and just getting lucky or unlucky, and B, that I'm still up and I'll do over the last year I'm still up X amount just to make myself feel better. But yeah, those are the only 2 times I update.
That's probably a good idea. Cubbies on the other side. You get some cheapies. You get like a Franmil Reyes, 2,500, Zach McKinstry, dual eligibility, second base, third base. He's leading off, but he sucks at hitting. He sucked with Toronto. I don't know why. He keeps showing up in lineups. 168. So I guess that's not so bad. I
didn't even know he was on Toronto.
Wasn't he on Toronto? I'm 99% sure. I'm going to do this live. F it, we'll do it live. Dodgers, and then I thought he was with Toronto. Hang on, let me go.
Nope.
Nope, just Dodgers. Just a different team wearing blue. And so there you go. Fantasy Cruncher, that'll kind of do it for you, where if you see the blue on the left column, you know what? I'm not going to explain it. How about you just talk about the Cubs?
Yeah, so they make some sense just in the fact that Cabrera is getting 45% ownership. He's not a pitcher that I really like picking on, but he is really popular. You do get some power from the Cubs as well. You mentioned McKinstry leading off, not one of those power bats, but he does have multi-position eligibility. He is 2,500. Happ has power. Reyes has power. Reyes is cheap. You have a catcher hitting third in Yan Gomes, who, again, he's not the best hitter, but catchers hitting third are appealing. PJ Higgins has catcher eligibility as well. So I don't like getting to the Cubs. I also really don't like the talent level of this lineup in general. You're missing, there's no Nico Horner.
No Wisdom.
Yeah, there's no Wisdom.
No Morel's batting ninth again. They had Morel leading off over the weekend. Did you see that?
No, I didn't. I know they did like months ago, and then they moved him, but I didn't see that.
So no Suzuki, no Contreras. Against David Peterson. Keep going.
What'd you say?
No, he led off against David Peterson when they went just berserk.
Yeah. So no Contreras, no Suzuki, no Horner, no whoever else, no Wisdom. So, I mean, one, this lineup looks even better for Cabrera. Two, it becomes really difficult to actually like stacking them because they're missing so much talent. The only positive is that you end up just getting really cheap bats that also have a lot of MPE in the top 6. So from a value standpoint, it's nice. And from a leverage standpoint against Cabrera, it's nice. But also strikes me as a really low probability spot between the relatively difficult matchup, the difficult park to hit in, and the lack of major league hitters in this lineup.
Yeah, there's really only one Ian Happ.
Yeah, and like Reyes hits the ball far sometimes.
This is true. He also struck out 48,000 times in Cleveland, and they ran him out of town. They just DFA'd him. Please leave.
Like he was somebody that I was pretty high on when he came up with the Padres too.
Me too. I liked him a lot there. And then he was in the Clevenger trade, right?
Yep.
Oh, it's just wild how time flies. To the Miami side we go here, and Wade Miley, not very good at throwing the baseballs, but he's been effective enough. It's a bad enough ballpark, and Miami is a bad enough group of hitters where I don't know if I want to go nuts. Nick Fortis I just did a crunch before the show. Him and Brian Anderson, 1-2, basically right around 8%, but I'm not all that enthusiastic about this lineup. How do you feel about Miami today?
Yeah, I don't really like it that much either. The park's not great, and Wade Miley's not a great DFS pitcher, but he really doesn't give up a ton of power. Since the start of last year to right-handed hitters, 142 expected ISO, 318 expected WOBA. So far this year, a sub 100 expected ISO and a 295 expected WOBA to righties. It's, I think he's somebody that maybe the name value makes people feel like he's worse than he is, but really it's just that he doesn't strike out a lot of guys and doesn't end up being a great DFS option. But I don't think there's a lot that I can really like from Miami. Anderson, Cooper, Fortes in the middle, I guess, is fine. LeBlanc's really cheap. But yeah, I don't know. Jordan Groshans is a solid hitting prospect, but for whatever reason, he's hitting 8th. So I have a hard time really liking Miami here.
Really, really hard. And third base, I'd just rather, if I'm going to play somebody, I'm going to play Brian Anderson for 2,900.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer. LeBlanc, yeah, 2,300. He's showing up a little bit, but I just don't think he's going to be very good. It's just gross. It strikes out a lot. It's going to be a problem at the big league level. Managers, old school managers hate that kind of shit.
Who were you talking about?
LeBlanc.
Yeah. Yes, I know nothing about him, honestly.
Oh, he's just not very good. Cool. That kind of does it here as well.
Yep.
We move along, my friends. But first, Stokastic tools and content for every single DFS sport out there is available. And we have this deal for you guys right now to look at all the NFL tools 100% free for 3 days. That's a pretty cool deal. I'm going to kind of combine these two into one because I think it's just that good of a deal and I want you guys to take advantage of it. But we have the NFL tools and content, 3 free days of that. So if you want to check it out here for Monday and then on Thursday, I think the math checks out. Nope, it does not. Not quite. But you're going to have the ability for Monday for the 2-game slate for, each showdown slate tonight to be able to see all the great tools and content we have there. And then if you want to take advantage of that for a week, which I strongly recommend, because that'll lead you into a Sunday main slate where, there are just an amazing plethora amount of tools for you and content for you guys to take advantage of. We have the boom bust tool. We just like we do for sports like baseball, just like we do for sports like, NBA using it all the time. But for NFL, the boom bust tool comes in a great deal of handy. Take advantage of the top stacks tool. That would have been useful to get more Baltimore and Miami in my life for sure on Sunday. But I'm telling you, you cannot go wrong. Use promo code MLB Live to get 50% off your very first week of this weekly package. You'll have it for MLB. You'll have it for MMA on the weekends. You can go pick up those head-to-heads against Adam and go crush his soul over there. You can pick them up for NFL head-to-heads. You can have all the tools and content go to work for you. That is MLB Live, all caps, one word, to get 50% off that first week. So stop guessing, start winning, and join us at Stokastic today. Love it. I really must say that Top Stacks tool is sick. And now we have the player comparison tool. It's outrageous how much good stuff's going on here. But we must get back to the baseball slate. Unfortunately, here we go. Tyler Alexander versus Tyler Wells, who, for some reason, my brain is incapable of remembering that Tyler Wells is a right-handed pitcher. I always think he's left-handed. Like, why? What is wrong with me as a person? A lot.
With regard to this or in general?
In general.
You just did private yoga.
You had to throw that out on the stream. We can't have any privacy. Seriously, you're gonna do me like that?
the people need to know.
Just saying, it's comfortable. It's my birthday. I wanted to, get a little stretch in, and then go drink my face off during the Vikings game tonight. You got a problem with that? You got a problem with that?
Not the latter part.
You're well versed in that. Well versed in it. Yeah. Mommy and daddy are fighting again. Let's talk about how terrible these pitchers are and why we don't want to roster them today.
Formerly private yoga. Yeah, so the pitchers.
He just got that. That's so good.
Yeah, the pitchers obviously not great. Wells still sort of working his way back from injury. Not a great strikeout pitcher one way or the other. Does have a good matchup, and I am in the process of pulling the top pitchers tool back up. So I assume he's not really getting ownership. We have him. We actually have him getting 12% ownership. 3%.
I know.
Okay, so it's really annoying not being able to click on things.
No,
do you happen to know off the top of your head how many pitches he threw last time out?
I knew it yesterday. Let me think. 50.
Okay, because at that price and in that matchup, I don't think he's a horrible play. I just don't love the ownership. Like if he's gonna get 12% ownership and Wade Miley's gonna get 6 at $500 more, then I would prefer to just go to Miley. I think they're very similar plays. On the other side, though, Tyler Alexander, 12.7% strikeout percentage this year, xFIP north of 5. Not a pitcher that I'm looking to get to.
I mean, why do you need the savings on this? I mean, you're basically just going to play Tyler Wells and the Dodgers. Is that kind of the game plan?
Or, I mean, Tyler Wells and cores with better one-offs. Move Edward Cabrera's 45% ownership down to Wells. The problem there, though, is that I don't think, obviously Wells can beat Cabrera just because, Cabrera can pitch poorly or whatever. But from a range of outcome standpoint, I don't think Wells is going to have a long enough leash that he could actually, if they both pitch well, Cabrera just beats Wells because Wells isn't going to be able to go as deep into the game. So that's, I think, the problem with the idea of just not spending all the money and just going Cabrera to Wells to save ownership. But, if you can upgrade some bats, maybe that makes some sense.
Yeah. Well, the Tyler Wells is more in play than the Tyler Alexander. Actually, I don't even know if that's true to me. If you're going to tell me I had to pick one of them in a large field tournament, don't I want the guy who actually could pitch 80 plus pitches?
But you're saying between Wells and Miley?
Yeah, no. Between Tyler Alexander and Tyler Wells. Tyler Alexander sucks. He's terrible. But if you made me pick one for one tournament to try to win, would I still pick Tyler Alexander just knowing that if he gets lucky out of his mind going up against Baltimore here and he just kind of survives, maybe finds a way to get to 4 or 5 strikeouts? Do I want Alexander or Wells more?
I think I would still lean Wells, but I get what you're saying. It's still a probability thing. In terms of total pitches thrown, Alexander certainly has the advantage on Wells, but also, Wells isn't a great strikeout pitcher, but he's at 18% for the season. Alexander is a little below 13%. So even if you do get, let's say, an extra inning from Alexander, is it necessarily even any better than Wells scores when he pitches well?
It's true. It's true.
Also, this is way too much time on Tyler Wells and Tyler Alexander.
It's awesome. Hey, we still have 27 minutes and we only have 4 games after this. I wanted basically just to make it clear, this is to people watching. Happy,
this is not
how we do it in
the decision point on the slate that you need to worry about. But yeah, like if you're going off the board, I think either one makes some sense. I would really like, or not either one makes some sense, but like that conversation is interesting. I would just like that ownership on Wells to come down a little bit. If it continues to be at 12%, I would rather play Wade Miley at half the ownership. He's gonna go deeper if he pitches well. He's similar in terms of strikeout stuff. He's in a good park. He's got a good enough matchup. That's, I think, where the for lack of a better word, pivot away from Wells is if you're going to one of these cheap guys.
Hey, Happy. This is how we do it in the pros. Just spacing out the show, making sure that I don't have dead time and dead air like this. Detroit, no interest.
I
right?
win.
Oh, come on! It wasn't a competition. We're not siblings. This isn't a competition. This isn't a staring contest. Yeah, go ahead. Talk about Detroit bats and your lack of interest there.
Yeah, it's Detroit. Certainly not all that interested. You do have Riley Green. You have Victor Reyes. Left-handed power plays better in Camden Yards than right-handed power now that they moved the wall back. So you have those two at the top. Then you have a bunch of right-handed bats, which it's not that Wells is lights out against righties at all. This year, 211 expected ISO to righties, only 139 to lefties. Has a good changeup that he throws 33% of the time. So that's why you've seen the numbers actually be worse against righties. The reason I pointed out the lefties, though, is that they don't have to deal with a 380-foot wall to their pull side. Spencer Torkelson at 2,300 supposedly has power, but also sucks. It's just really difficult for me to like much from the Tigers. One thing I guess I would mention is it is like 80-ish degrees in Baltimore. It's always humid here. I think that's especially important to note when you think about where a lot of these games are. Obviously, you have the Coors Field game, but you have 70 degrees in LA. You have a game in Miami. You have a game in Tropicana Field. Atlanta is similar weather, I think, to Baltimore. Milwaukee's a decent park to hit in, but tough pitchers. So I think the weather component does stand out a little bit more here, just when a lot of the other games are being played in favorable pitcher sparks.
Okay. I think that's a great note. Yesterday, yeah, I was doing some weather research. Colorado, it's going to be hot today. And then it is going to cool off substantially over the weekend. It's still the best hitters ballpark. And obviously you want it to be as hot as possible there if you're going to be stacking up offenses there. But at the same time, it's just something to know where temperature is going to be coming down across the board. So yeah, love that note. Hot, humid there outside your front door. Love it.
Malakar said Miggy might be in play. Yeah, like if you're stacking Detroit, there's no reason that you would avoid Miggy. He's not somebody I'm going out of my way to get to. It also sucks from a stacking standpoint that he plays the same position as Torkelson. So on DraftKings, you can only get one of them. But Cabrera is certainly fine in the sense that most hitters in large field tournaments are fine, but not a top option outside of if you happen to be stacking Detroit.
Yeah, I prefer not to have my hitters have a ceiling of 8. So I probably won't be playing them. Baltimore, let's jump on over to that side of it, because this is where you and I think, both have a lot more interest. Your baseball team, they look great in terms of the matchup. You just go down the line with everything for Alexander. 355 xWOBA, but 496 expected slugging, as you said before, right around a 12.5% K rate. All of that checks out pretty well for some of these guys, top to bottom. You get a little bit of savings. You have some more expensive bats. Weird to see Cedric Mullins 5,500 batting 8th, but that's the left-on-left thing that they do all the time. Austin Hayes is cheap. You get Santander. You got Mountcastle back in that lineup. That is huge for them. How do you feel about your Baltimore Orioles today?
I like them a lot here. We already talked about the weather, but you're also just going to get a bit of an ownership discount because you're going to get ownership going to Coors Field, as you should, but still a good spot here against Alexander. One thing to note too, you mentioned Mullins hitting toward the bottom of the order. He doesn't hit lefties well, but Tyler Alexander doesn't get lefties out either. 299 total pitches thrown to lefties this year, 241 expected ISO, 376 expected WOBA. So obviously from like a cash standpoint or just a priority standpoint, $5,500 Cedric Mullins hitting 8th isn't great, but I think it is just worth noting if you're stacking the Orioles, it's just a lefty that's bad all the way around. Against righties this year, only an 11% strikeout percentage, 197 expected ISO, 347 expected WOBA. You have a pretty cheap Austin Hayes leading off, Rutschman from the wrong side, but still a really good catcher option. Mountcastle back in the lineup. He missed yesterday's game and left 2 games ago early after getting hit by a pitch, but he's back. Santander, Aguilar, same position as Mountcastle, Gunnar Henderson, another guy that in the minors struggled hitting lefties, but Tyler Alexander is an exceptionally bad lefty, and either way, Henderson has MPE and is cheap. So really top to bottom, there's upside in this Baltimore lineup. I like that you don't have Rougned Odor in it. So really everybody in this lineup, 1 through 8, you could say is above average. Aguilar hasn't been this year, but up until last year, he has been throughout his entire career. And then with Jorge Mateo, not an above average hitter, but he does have some power and a ton of speed. So really everybody in this lineup has upside for one reason or another.
What is it about these switch hitting catchers? Because Grandal has the same thing. Why are they so much worse against lefties?
My assumption is just that because you don't face as many lefties, and as a catcher, like you kind of have two jobs. I mean, obviously everybody works on their defense, but like catcher being a good defensive catcher, I think is very time consuming. Mm-hmm. And so you have that. You're facing more righties, so you're just hitting left-handed more frequently. I would just think that batting right-handed kind of gets pushed down the list a little bit.
Yeah, because Rutschman, it's a small sample still for him, but looking at Yasmani Grandal, because that's the first thing that comes into mind. Left versus right, you've got, he's got a 147 WRC plus as a lefty this season, 47 as a righty. It's just wild to me because those are your two most prominent switch hitting catchers in baseball. So thought that was pretty fascinating that they have identical prospects. But anyway, anything else from this game for you?
No, just really like the Orioles.
Okay. I like that as well. Washington, Atlanta. Here you go. Kyle Wright, Corey Abbott. One of them matters a lot more than the other. I'll let you guys guess which one. Spoiler alert, it's Kyle Wright. I don't know if I agree with this ownership on him. This is the first year in his, 6 years? He's a top 5 pick. He had the pedigree coming out of Vanderbilt, and it didn't really translate until this year. He started to put it together, but he's still not a great fantasy pitcher by any means. How do you feel about Kyle Wright at 20-ish% ownership, coming in 4th highest owned on this slate?
Yeah, he's been really difficult for me all year. Like, he started out the year really well. He was striking out like 28 to 30% of hitters. Then he dropped off a bit. Now, for the course of the entire season, he has a 23.7% strikeout percentage, 3.37 xFIP. It's a good matchup. I think the ownership here is fine. Maybe a little bit higher than it should be. I don't really think he should be getting more than Luis Garcia. You have Wright at $8,800. You have Garcia at $83. I don't know for sure what the National League standings look like, but I do think this game matters more for Atlanta than it does for Houston, simply because I know for sure it doesn't matter for Houston. So maybe Wright has a little bit longer leash than Garcia. But really, I think that they're pretty comparable in terms of what you can expect out of them, but you have a little bit more ownership going to Wright, which makes me like Garcia a little bit more.
I'm with you. Garcia, I just think he's the better fantasy asset. Like, ERA and things of that nature doesn't matter to me nearly as much as just straight out, what are you going to do when you hit your ceiling in this spot? And sure, Washington, they're 3-point run favorites or 3-run favorites basically in this spot, such is life. But like, I feel pretty confident in saying I would much rather have Garcia 99 out of 100 times if you were just saying straight up in these individual matchups. Is Garcia somebody who's been getting lit up? Yeah, sure, but pretty good. Garcia's been getting lit up.
No, I meant that. Like, I think if you're just telling me to pick one and ownership doesn't matter or anything between Wright and Garcia, I would lean Wright.
You would. I would lean Garcia just in terms of like. Let me just pull it up. Let me find my projection here.
The park's better for Garcia. The matchup's better for Wright.
Mm-hmm.
They've been
Garcia better strikeout stuff.
Yeah, but pretty comparable, right? Garcia
pretty comparable, exactly. But I'm saying like long term. I'm also projecting Luis Garcia, so I'm taking my Zip Steamer stuff and I'm doing like a year-long projection for these guys for my dynasty team because I'm a nerd and it's fun for me. 27.5% projected strikeout rate going over the next 3 years.
Yeah, so like looking at the Stokastic projections, we have Luis Garcia at 17.2, we have Kyle Wright at 16.8. So kind of getting back to our thing, they're very similar. The reason that I prefer Garcia in tournaments, at least right now, is that he's $500 less expensive and he's getting 8 points less ownership. So at the same projection, why not?
That's what I'm getting at. So we're saying the same thing. We're just having different ways of saying it. I guess saying it 99 out of 100. I'm saying that in this scenario, if I was building one lineup, I would click Garcia before I would click Wright.
Yeah, with the ownership how it is, I agree. Okay. Equal ownership and salary not mattering, I think I would click Wright first. But again, that's it's splitting hairs. We have them separated by like a half point in projection, but the fact that Garcia is getting less ownership and saves you $500, I'm just going to get more Garcia the way things look right now.
Oh, thank you, everybody, for the happy birthdays. I appreciate it. I feel properly loved. You know who won't feel properly loved? Corey Abbott, because this is not a great spot for him going up against Atlanta. I'm assuming we don't have any Washington interest, do we?
No, not really. The only thing that I think is relevant that has to be talked about from Washington is make sure you leave yourself enough time for screwed up spreadsheets, because Luis Garcia is in the lineup for the Nats and he's pitching for Houston.
It's not fun. It's really it's my least favorite part of the MLB season this year has been this.
Agreed. And actually, when I was doing the tournament plays video earlier, I was like, oh man, Luis Garcia is pitching today. And then I was like, oh, it's a short slate, so the Nats probably just aren't even on it. And then was really disappointed when I actually looked at the games.
Luis Garcia, in the month of September, he's played every outing but 2 for Washington. He's gotten over 10 fantasy points all of one time, batting third.
Yeah, I was really enjoying it when he was on the injured list.
It was enjoyable for those 3 days. Well, it was earlier. It was like a month or whatever it was before. But yeah, he was out for like 3 games. What was it? The 9th to the 13th. He missed 2 of those. So cool. Just saying, he sucks. Don't play him. Let's talk Atlanta, because this is the more pressing issue for sure. Getting the draw, being able to face this Corey Abbott character who 188 expected batting average, pretty small sample size, sub 40 hard hit percentage. But guess what? I don't care. It's the Braves, and the expected slugging page is bright red for me in my spreadsheet, and those are good numbers. How do you feel about the Braves?
Yeah, I like them here. They're getting ownership, but pretty much in line with their top stack percentage. They don't offer quite as much value as the teams around them, like Baltimore and Colorado, but 15% projected ownership overall going to Atlanta, 26% going to San Francisco, 16% to Colorado, and I'm pulling it up now to double check. I would guess that the ownership is probably less spread out on Atlanta than it is those teams. I'm assuming you're just getting like a lot going to Acuna, and then it probably trickles down a bit. Acuna leads the way at 27%. Then you have 10 to 17% for Riley, d'Arnaud, Swanson, Olsen, Harris, and Contreras. Rosario and Grissom less than 10. So, still not a team where there's a bunch of guys you can get to that are low owned, but like you compare that to San Francisco, where pretty much everybody on the team is more popular than like the 6 least popular Braves. So just makes the ownership gap even a little bit bigger, I think. And Abbott's not a particularly good pitcher. Small sample this year, 173 expected ISO, 219 actual ISO to righties, 231 expected ISO, 268 actual to lefties. Tons of power for Atlanta. Looks like it's in the low to mid 80s there, so the ball should probably carry a bit. I like getting to the Braves here.
Pick a home run from the Braves.
Olsen.
Yep, that's exactly what I was getting at, which leads us to PrizePicks.com. PrizePicks is my favorite place to play MLB for home run props. Period. End of story, and here's why. You go to PrizePicks.com, you click on total home runs. Olsen, Swanson, and Travis d'Arnaud are the trio today. You're allowed to add Olsen as a prop alongside him. So the 1.5 total bases, I can click on more for him and Matt Olson over 1.5 total bases, and I put those all together, and I get the opportunity to make lots of money by correlating with my other favorite props on the board. So check out oddshopper.com. Use it to help inform some of your decisions over at PrizePicks. But most importantly, go to PrizePicks.com, sign up today, and use promo code AWESEMO. Yes, it is still promo code AWESEMO when you sign up over there, and get $100 first match deposit bonus. Whether you want to deposit $20, you'll get $20 first match deposit bonus. If you want to do the full 100, you'll get 100 back. That is awesome kind of stuff. And trust me, the guys are going to have some NFL props for you guys to take advantage of tonight. Spoiler alert, I like the over 50.5 receiving yards for one Adam Thielen. So Matt Olson, Dansby Swanson, Travis d'Arnaud, over 0.5 total home runs. Matt Olson, over 1.5 total bases. And Adam Thielen, I got a Thielen. Woo-hoo, that it's going to be a cashed prop, baby. So you can put those 3 together. 3 out of 3 pays 5x your money. It's hard to beat that. So check out PrizePicks today. Cross-sport parlays, a lot of fun to do. So I'm going to go more for 50.5. I know Mike Lawrence wants to just damn Mr. Adam Thielen over there. I know that he's looking at doing that. He clicked the less than for all of these guys. See, I knew he was going to be sinister. Look at this. What a sicko. What a sicko. Happy birthday to me, whatever. Let's keep it moving along. This game should be pretty quick because we're going to talk 99.9% of it regards to pitching. We have Scherzer we have Burns. Now, let's start with Scherzer because just kind of depends on how many pitches you think he goes. I mean, did we get a set pitch count here at this point? He's 10-9, most expensive pitcher. I have interest if he's going to be sub 10%.
Yeah, so do I, just because he can do damage even if he does go like 5 innings. He went 3 2/3, faced 15 batters in his most recent rehab start. I haven't seen an official pitch count. I'm assuming 75, 80 is a reasonable guess. So on the one hand, I do think he should be the lowest owned out of the good pitchers just because he isn't going to go that deep into the game probably. But at the same time, and there is a $1,200 gap in salary here, let's say Max Scherzer is limited to 80 pitches. That's not really different than Clayton Kershaw for all intents and purposes, and Kershaw's getting 3 times the ownership. So I do think it's important to keep in mind that it limits that top end of his range of outcomes, assuming that he is going to have some sort of a pitch count here. But he's such a good strikeout pitcher, and the other pitchers on this slate do pretty much all have other legitimate concerns. Burns doesn't have any sort of a pitch count, but he's got a tough matchup. Kershaw probably has a 5 to 6 inning pitch count. Garcia probably not going to have that long of a leash. I would guess he's going like 6 innings. Kyle Wright, I think has a longer leash, but you're also talking about somebody that doesn't have nearly the strikeout stuff as Scherzer. So as long as the ownership is low, I do have some interest in Scherzer just because he can go get you. I mean, we just saw it with Justin Verlander, for example.
Yep.
Not to say that I think it's likely that Scherzer is going to score 28 points in 5 innings, 32 after the win, but he's got that sort of strikeout stuff. He can do it. You can get 5 innings from Scherzer and he still beats every other pitcher on the slate. So as long as the ownership is low, I like the idea of it. If the ownership comes up a bit, then I do think it becomes more important that he most likely is on some sort of a pitch count here.
Agreed. He gives you differentiation because he's low owned. The other thing is, we do have some elite pitchers, one on the other side of this game, Kershaw. But then, outside of Garcia and Cabrera, I'm not worried that a lot of guys are going to rack up 7, 8, 9 strikeouts anywhere else on the board. And so it makes me feel pretty confident that if he can get 5 innings, strike out 7 or 8, that's a kind of outcome that even at 10-9, I'm not going to be upset with because, even if you get a Wade Miley right or a Merrill Kelly right, at sub 2%, good luck having enough allocation that you feel comfortable in 150 lineups.
Yeah, and also with the hitter pricing, obviously you're giving something up if you go from, let's say, Kyle Wright or Luis Garcia to Max Scherzer, but you're probably not giving up that much. You look at the Orioles, for example, and, Rutschman's expensive, Santander is expensive, Mullins, if you're going there, is expensive, but the rest of the team is really inexpensive. The Giants, kind of the same thing. Flores, Peterson are expensive, but there's a bunch of, $3K guys in that lineup as well. There's some value in the Rockies lineup. So you'll give something up if you're paying an extra $2K at pitcher, but you're not sacrificing that much to get up to Scherzer and be contrarian. So the way ownership looks right now, I like the idea of it, even though I think that his top end is capped a little bit, just because every other pitcher I think has some sort of a question mark today as well.
Corbin Burns, he's got a very difficult matchup. I would say he struggled outside of that San Francisco start for the last, month and a half or so, but who cares? It's Corbin Burns. He projects out really well for me here. It's a Mets team that at the same time that they're second best against right-handed pitching on the season. I believe 118 WRC plus is what it was. I don't have it pulled up here. Yep. 118 WRC plus. I feel pretty confident in saying he's going to be my second most popular pitcher on today's slate. How do you feel about Burns?
Your first being Cabrera?
Yes.
I think that's the same page for me. And it really just goes back to, of the good pitchers, I think he is the only one that is like a legitimate ace, or at least has a legitimate ace type upside and isn't capped. If you get, it's just, think about if like every pitcher, let's say all of Burns, Kershaw, Garcia, Wright, Scherzer pitch well. Burns is the only one out of that, or I guess Wright probably too, but that, Burns' good game isn't on the same level as Kyle Wright. So Burns is the only one of these top tier guys that if he's pitching well, he's just going to keep going out there and pitching. until, he's at 100, 110 pitches, whereas the other guys are going to get pulled earlier. So I really like the upside that he gives you there. And he does project better than everybody else. It's not by a huge margin because it is a difficult matchup against the Mets. They're a tough team to strike out. They have a lot of good hitters. There's certainly plenty of risk here. And this goes back to why I think Scherzer is a good tournament play too, even though, he doesn't have the same sort of top end ceiling. But that ceiling on Burns is enough to make him, outside of Cabrera, my favorite pitcher.
I also think I might have a hedge stack or two. Again, playing more than one lineup, that'll be kind of by default. More inclined to stack up the Mets than Milwaukee, which is kind of strange, but it has more to do with just their effectiveness against righties. There have been struggles I don't really buy into with Corbin Burns. I think he's just fine. But if I had to stack up one, I would pick the Mets. Would you feel the same way? Or if you had to go Milwaukee or New York, who do you pick?
I would lean the Mets. They are getting a nice positive park shift going into Milwaukee. They've got a lot of really good hitters in this lineup. And Burns has actually allowed a 165 expected ISO to lefties this year. Not that that's bad, and he has a 303 expected WOBA, but you can get some power upside there. Scherzer actually also an identical 165 expect.
Oh.
Okay, so 118 expected ISO to lefties for Burns. Add More Funds was just showing me the same stats twice.
Gotcha.
165 expected ISO for Scherzer, but you still just have the quality of hitters for the Mets, the positive park shift. I do slightly lean towards them.
All right. Anything else from this game?
Nope.
All right. This next one's a big one, but first, hit that like button. That goes a long way for both Adam and myself. We have over 300 you crazy people talking baseball on an NFL day, the Lord's Day of Monday. It continues on with 2 games here tonight. If you want to catch all the action, we have you prepared for DFS action. NFL Monday Night Deeper Dive. That's going to be Dave Loughran, Neil Orfield, Luffy himself leading the way with that one. Starting up at 15 over the hour, so 5:15 p.m. Eastern time. Then Monday Night Live before lock, Savoca and Gajewski. I'm excited for that one. Just the two brainiacs going at it in the streets, talking some NFL. Excited for that one for sure. And then we have the NFL Monday watch along playback going on with Eitan Shander. Look at that. And then, yes, Lindy's MLB best bets. That'll be coming out the night before, leading you guys into Tuesday's MLB slate. That'll be the Lord's Day for just baseball. So enjoy that. Again, we can go 5 over. That's perfect because NFL Monday Deeper Dive, that doesn't start till 5:15 p.m. Eastern time. Don't have to go anywhere. Stay here in the Stokastic DFS streets here on YouTube. Looking forward to that one for sure. Skol, baby. Let's jump to Coors Field. Very important game to talk about here. And we have the Colorado lineup. We don't have the San Francisco lineup, but from a pitching perspective, Jake Junis, Chad Kuhl, what do you even say? I can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, Junis has been solid enough as a starter this year. Kuhl has not. Overall this year, I lost the page. Junis as a starter has like a 3.81 xFIP. He's striking out 20% hitters. Kuhl has about a 4.8 xFIP, like a 17% strikeout percentage. You're getting more ownership going to the Giants, as you should. But with this game being in Coors, it's like 80 degrees, 11 total. Both teams implied run totals over 5. Just obviously the best offensive spot on the slate.
Yep. By a wide margin, that is for sure. Looking at San Francisco, Colorado here. Let's just start with the San Francisco side because we do not have that lineup, but we can all imagine how it's going to look. Pretty sure you get Jock Peterson on the top end. He's going to be the only expensive bat that you really have to be reaching up for. Everybody else is way, way, way underpriced. I don't know why this keeps happening. It's Groundhog's Day, but here we are. We're going to be rostering them in bulk here. We got to wait on Wade's status. We got to wait from the Colorado side. Who is that got hurt yesterday that I assumed was going to go on the IL? We'll see. But regardless, how are you feeling about San Francisco in this spot?
I feel good as long as you're able to differentiate your lineups. You're going to get a lot of ownership coming in here, as you should. Overall, we have them with a 26% aggregate ownership share, but also a 25% chance of being the top stack, 20% chance of being the top value stack. So yeah, it's just a matter of, can you find enough ways to differentiate your lineups? Also, and that goes hand in hand. Maybe instead of a bunch of 5-man stacks, you're getting more 2-mans and 3-mans, hoping that Jock Peterson and Yastrzemski have good games, but overall the offense struggles. But certainly a good spot. Not only are you getting Coors Field, but Chad Kuhl, 205 expected ISO to lefties this year, 189 expected ISO to righties, sub 20% strikeout percentage against both sides of the plate. It's baseball. Obviously, it can fail. There's a lot of variance no matter what, but certainly looks like the best spot on the slate for the Giants.
And then you got on the other side, Colorado. They're negatively leveraged too, but I kind of don't care. I think that there's going to be a lot of bats from this side that I have interest in. I'm basically the Jonathan Daza whisperer, but like the opposite, where I made fun of him one time. I probably only said his name on the show one time in my entire life, and it was to point out how bad he's been in terms of a fantasy asset, saying flat out, oh, he's terrible. He doesn't ever put up ceiling performances. And then you know what he did for like 2 weeks. Well, actually, no, he got hurt. He got back off the IL, put up 29 against Woodruff. Then he ended up putting up 12, 14. It just made me feel like a fool. Whatever, he's 2,900, batting second in Coors Field. You're fine getting hit to him. Montero's been ridiculous. You've got Toglia, Trejo. I mean, there's just a lot of different options from the Colorado side to get to as well. How do you kind of factor them in going up against San Francisco?
Yeah, and one nice thing, you mentioned that they're maybe going a little bit over-owned, but they're also just not getting nearly as much ownership as San Francisco on the other side. We don't have updated ownership projections on them as of right now. We have Brendan Rodgers in, but he's not in the lineup. But 15% ownership going to Michael Toglia at 3,300 with first base outfield eligibility, I think makes him look really interesting. He's hitting 7th, so that ownership probably does stay relatively low. So I like the spot for them. It's not as good a spot as it is for San Francisco, but you're also not getting as much ownership. To your Daza point, I was watching a Rockies game. I think it was the day after he had hit a home run. Like, he had apparently hit like a just bomb to dead center field. And they asked him about it, and he was like, I don't think I've ever done that. Like, just
great
went out to center.
Biscuit. Dude, it was the dumbest thing ever. I literally went out of my way on that show to be like, he's off the IL, and I hate this guy. And he put up 29. 29 in your eye hole, Eric.
Alan Trejo is an interesting tournament option for me individually. Projected for like 5% ownership because he is 4,100 and hitting toward the bottom of the order. But Steamer hasn't projected for a 184 ISO. They also haven't projected as with an 84 WRC plus, but there is some power there. Hitting in the PCL this year, he put up a 255 ISO. Last year, 290. So obviously you take that with a grain of salt because it's the PCL, but he's also playing in Coors Field, so still playing on the moon right now. So he's somebody that I do like getting to on slates like this, where I want to get to the Coors Field game, but it's hard to find low owned guys. Trejo does give you some power upside here.
Anything else in this one? Because it's a doozy.
Nope.
Cool. We have one more game, and I find this to be the most intriguing one. Hour and a half later than every other game going on the slate. It's Arizona. It's the Dodgers. You get the ridiculous Dodgers lineup, and you get Clayton Kershaw. You also get a really good pitcher in Merrill Kelly on the other side, but obviously not a fantasy asset. The K percentage isn't anything to be golfing at or to be saying that it's phenomenal. And then he's going up against the Dodgers offense. Really hard to land there. But how do you feel about a $9,700 Clayton Kershaw compared to the top end guys like one Corbin Burns, Max Scherzer, and Kyle Wright there at the top end on DK?
I kind of like him the least, I think, which is really scary to say because obviously he's really good. But it's when you compare him to those guys specifically, Burns has the better strikeout stuff. Kershaw has the better matchup. Burns doesn't have any sort of a limit. I would be shocked if Kershaw goes more than 6 innings. Luis Garcia and Kyle Wright just not on the same planet as Burns in terms of strikeout stuff. They're similar to Kershaw. Kershaw has better strikeout stuff, but Kyle Wright I don't expect to be limited at all. Garcia I expect to be kind of on the same sort of we have nothing to play for limit that Kershaw is, but Garcia is $400 less expensive. $1,400 less expensive. Garcia is also getting 2/3 of the ownership of Kershaw. So I don't want it to come off that I don't think Kershaw is a good play because he is, but I just think he's kind of the easiest one for me to start moving away from if he continues to pull 32% ownership.
Agreed. My thing is that he got reactivated because he's had the back problems that have haunted him in years past. 2 years ago, or 3 years ago it was, before they won the World Series. That was the pandemic, obviously. They basically had him. He wasn't available for postseason play. He got shut down. Last year, I think it was the same thing. I think he got shut down for the postseason as well. That was problematic. This time around, they put the absolute kitty gloves on it. They knew that they were way, way up. As maybe this is just conspiracy theory, Eric. I know that he was actually hurt, but they really gave him as much time as he needed to get back. 74 pitches, 86. So you were trending up. I know he went 7 innings, but he only had 82 pitches last time out in the same matchup against Arizona in Arizona. I really am with you, right? I think you're looking at like an 85 pitch cap. Like I find it very unlikely that in any scenario, in any game script, whatever you want to say, that Clayton Kershaw gets to a 90 pitch number.
Yeah, and I want to clarify what I said, because I said I'd be shocked if he goes more than 6 innings, and obviously he just did it last start.
Yeah.
I'd be shocked if he starts a new inning at like 80-something pitches.
Agreed.
Like, I think his limit, my guess on his limit is probably however many innings he can throw in without starting an inning at like more than 75 pitches. And keep in mind, so yeah, that could be, you could get an identical start to last time out, which would be really good. 7 innings, 82 pitches, struck out 5, was really, really efficient. But there's also no guarantee that he doesn't throw less. We just saw Dave Roberts do it with Dustin May. May coming back from an injury, like 82 pitches, 86 pitches, no hitter through 5, pulled at 69 pitches. So like you do also have that downside risk where Dave Roberts is just like, screw everybody, we're pulling him an inning early for reasons. So, not that that's the most likely outcome, but you have to keep in mind that if you're going to look at it and say like, oh, well, what if he does the same thing and he does get 7 innings? There is also that non-zero chance that Dave Roberts just does what he does and pulls him at 5. So realistically, I just think he's going to throw however many innings he can without starting an inning after like 75 pitches probably.
Arizona, you could always play a Christian Walker if you really wanted to. I don't really have a lot of interest going anybody's direction here from the Arizona side. Do you?
No.
They've been insane. Obviously, if you want to talk quote unquote hot streaks, there's that Stone Garrett character. He seems pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, 2,400 is a nice price tag on him. Your boy Christian Walker's all the way down to 4K. We know he's got a lot of power. Not a great park to hit in though, especially with like 70-degree weather. I think when you're talking about the offenses that are facing good pitchers, Arizona is probably behind both of the Mets and Milwaukee for me.
Okay, that's fair.
And the Dodgers for sure.
Eric Traub coming in with 2 massive super chats. All I want for my birthday is a big booty. Happy birthday, Eric. I would like that. Eric Traub, 1999 again. Go, 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 shorty. It's your birthday. We gonna party like it's your birthday. Gonna sip a party like it's your birthday. And we don't give a shh. It's not your birthday. How about that? You'll find me in the club. I don't flip pup, honey. I got the X if you're into taking drugs, into having sex. I ain't into making love. So come give me a hug if you're into getting rough. Talk about the Dodgers. Go ahead. I'm just gonna keep bopping.
So as far as the teams in the teams in difficult matchups, I think the Dodgers look the best. They are 5th in the top stack tool behind the Giants, the Rockies, Atlanta, and Baltimore. Merrill Kelly's a solid pitcher, but I don't think he's as good as Burns or Scherzer or Kershaw. And you do just clearly have a ton of talent in the Dodgers lineup. So relatively low ownership in tournaments. They're not a huge priority for me, but they are getting half the ownership of every other team ahead of them in the top stack tool.
Cut the carp. That's a funny spelling typo from Malakar. Dong picks. All right, Adam, let's get ourselves out of here, shall we? I need you to give me your 3 favorite pitchers, 3 favorite stacks, and your dong pick.
I retired those after Cal Raleigh, but
it's a good idea. Also, I bet that when you gave that call
when Josh made fun of me for it.
Yep, and he first at bat.
Yeah, So top 3 pitchers, I think it's Burns, Cabrera, probably Luis Garcia.
Yep.
Top stacks, San Francisco.
I know, it's so gross.
Yeah,
Baltimore won for me.
Yeah, it's Baltimore. I guess San Francisco and Colorado. That just feels so boring and stupid.
Yeah,
but
I'm going Baltimore, Atlanta, San Francisco. Colorado. I'm going to hope San Francisco doesn't just completely torch me today.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested to see how that plays out for me. But clearly, they're a top stack if you can find a way to make it work with the rest of your lineup. As far as home runs, we already mentioned. Really like the spot for Matt Olson. I will add. God, there's like entire teams that I just want no part of.
That's what happened today. It's a beautiful slate for that. It's easy to give things the axe on a slate like this.
I will add. I have no idea.
I will say I wouldn't be completely shocked if the Mets went nuts today.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it. I'll add Jock Jams.
Love it.
Actually, no. Give me Michael Toglia.
Oh, well, look at you. getting a little contrarian. Well, no, Colorado, it's still Coors. But either way, that is the MLB Live Before Lock show. Here's what you get to do, because I've set this up so nicely for Jordan Klein. I was going to go 5, and then I just went 8 because it is what it is. You leave this stream, and you go directly to the NFL Showdown and Live Before Lock. Because, again, 2-game NFL slate. I bet Adam's playing it. I know I'm playing it. I hope you guys are playing it. Go watch Laffy and Neil break that down. Neil, who just won.
There was a million the first. I need to win it so that people in chat stop talking shit to me for not winning a milli.
Yeah, no, you'll just disappear, and then I will have a new co-host, and I'll be sad, and you'll be the happiest person ever, and it is what it is. Thank you so much to Mike Lawrence behind the virtual glass. They're awesome, yo himself, hanging out in chat. Go over to that stream right now. They're going to activate it. Jordan Klein producing. It'll be good stuff. Hi, Jordan. Hope you're doing well, even though you're mean to me on my birthday. Adam, any final words for the people as we get out of here?
Nope. Don't forget the slate starts at 6:40.
That's a good note. Good note. 6:40 p.m. start time, so an hour and a half. Set your alarms. Make sure you get some crunches in. Check out PrizePicks while you're at it. The best place you can go play for your props. For Adam, I'm Eric. Best of luck in the MLB streets tonight.